Hello Chiefsters, it's Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. Today, as the title suggests, it's an unboxing of the Trumpeter LAV command and control vehicle in 1:35 scale. Let's just see if we can get this camera a bit closer. There we go, scare the hell out of you all. I had planned to do the Pink Panther next to Tamiya 1:35 scale Pink Panther. However, I believe it's Matt Hills is doing that at the moment, and I don't see the point in sticking exactly the same kit up, you know, that somebody else is working on, unless it's a body build of some description. So I will be getting back to that, but it's, you know, just let the dust settle on Matt's videos at the moment on that. So I wanted to do another vehicle. I'm really struggling with my aircraft at the moment. I know it's just trial and error, and I will get there in the end. I will be able to fill seam lines so they are, you know, completely seamless. I take my hat off to the aircraft and the car guys that get all this done, because don't get me wrong, that's not saying all those guys that do armour and things like that, that it's, you know, you can just slap mod on and stuff like that, but you can get, you know, you can get away with more with a vehicle than you probably can with an aircraft and a car, say, something that really has to be, you know, spot on. So I wanted a 1:35 scale vehicle. The only other one apart from the Pink Panther, the Land Rover I've got is, sorry, the Pink Panther is a Land Rover if I haven't said that, is a 1:35 scale Trumpeter Striker another command vehicle. So it's more, it's not that. It's the same type of genre as this US Marine Corps LAV, which is a light armoured vehicle. Basically, it's a wheeled transport rather than a tracked transport. I have had that for ages. I didn't do an unboxing on it, but I, you know, said, oh, look what I bought, and it stayed there because I always wanted to do an interior. Both of these kits, they're command vehicles. They have no interiors to them whatsoever. I think you may be able to pose the doors open, or you could cut them open, whatever. And I had planned to do it, and you can get, I believe, resin kits to put inside. But again, being a fairly new guy to the thing, to scale modelling side of it anyway, it just, I don't have a lot of income. You know, I've got, guys, if you watch my channel, I've got mental health problems. I work from home just painting figures. My wife is the Trojan out there, has to slog through a daily commute and everything. So you know, money's tight for me. I can't just go spending 40, 50, 60 pounds on tanks and rocket, you know, guided missile launchers and things like that, because I do like my modern armour particularly, or modern lorries, armour, you know, you name it. Sorry, a lorry in the UK is a truck, if you didn't know. So I really have to hunt through eBay and even online stores, you know, trying to find that little bargain that you hope you're going to get. There's loads of Tamiya, a lot of these merchandising companies or modelling companies that buy up huge boxes of Tamiya ones, but they're all the ones that I did as a kid in the 80s, you know. I mean, the Merkava, it was a nice enough kit, but it was it 79, I believe. And I would like to do them, you know, a bit more up to date as things have progressed in the moulding process and things like that. I know you can still buy some little gems of that era, but it's like a Springbarg, and I've just gone off that completely at the moment because there's just no detail, and it just saps my wanting to do anything. I find Trumpeter kits, or the one that I had, really well packaged. They look decent enough to me as a returning newbie, more or less, to the scale modelling. But you still find with everything that, since I've returned, if it's Israeli or Russian, it just goes through the roof. You know, it's ridiculous. I try, and I know I'm asking a lot. I try and get kits in around the 20 to, you know, maximum £30, but trying around £26 plus postage, whatever. And that's hard, as we all know. So I have been hunting around eBay. And I thought, well, I can go to my Striker, so what do you do when you've got a command vehicle Striker from the US Army? You then go and get a US Marine Corps command vehicle, which also doesn't have an interior in. whenever I've seen pictures of both these vehicles, but the Marine Corps one particularly, they are festooned with obviously Bergens, which is the backpacks. Well, we used to call them Bergens 20 years ago when I was in the army. Could be longer than that now. But Bergens, you know, all the paraphernalia that a unit on the march carries if it can. So you can get, again, what they call it, aftermarket for that. But 30 odd quid again, you know, it's I paid £19 for this kit and a couple of pound postage. So no way am I going to go out and spend, you know, I would have spent that on a kit in the first place. So I've decided I'm going to make myself all the stowage. My mate Frederick from the Hobby Shack, hi Frederick, sent me a T55 book when I was doing the T55 kit, and it's fantastic because not only does it, it's all got dioramas on and how to build stuff, and the modelers go into how they build ammo crates and things like that. And again, it might be on the T55, but you can use it for anything, you know. So I thought, no, I looked at some of the stowage items the guys were carrying on the vehicles, and I thought, right, I'm going to have a go at making those, and because it is a box on wheels more or less. There's no turret to it. It is a command vehicle, a command and control vehicle. I tend to find doing a lot of prowling on eBay, NATO stuff, Western stuff is a heck of a lot cheaper. You know, it's not as in demand. Often anyway, and I'm talking about vehicles particularly here. And especially like command and controls, a lot of the guys, they want turrets with big guns on. You know, so if you get some box on wheels, they're not really that interested. So I've apart from my painting, you know, my boss painting, figure painting, commercial war games painting, all that thing, I really enjoy a couple of nights a week. It helps my head a lot. I just sit here snipping styrene off and gluing, and I really enjoy that. So I'm not, as long as I've got a liking for the vehicle, I've not got a problem in it being a command vehicle or whatever. You know, as I just get the enjoyment, and also because obviously I'm learning. You've seen a lot of my videos already. The T55 full interior, which I honestly thought I could teach myself model making as I went along with that. I've obviously stuck parts in the wrong place, made a complete hash of that. I am going back to that, but I want to get a couple of these under my belt just again to understand it all again and see if I can, you know, debond it and try again in places to at least get the bits that I went wrong and then carry on that build. So I do intend to try and go back to that. If I can rebuild it, I'll obviously carry on with the videos, but I will tell you guys what happens with that. The 1 in 35 little Tamiya Schwinnwagen, which was about 1970, I've stuffed up the painting on that. It's just sitting here. It's actually covered in dust at the moment. It needs to get blown off with an airbrush, but I ain't touching it at the moment. I've got no feeling for it. There's no detail whatsoever. You know, it is what it is. But you know, I'll get to that at some stage. So after all the waffle, this is what I've got. It's not a huge box in you know, thickness and that, because to be honest with you, I opened it up last night when my wife got it back from her office because I get everything delivered there. There's not a huge amount to the kit, which, you know, pleases me. As I say, as a new guy, I'm learning as I go type of thing. Now, on the box arts, you have a commander where which I don't think the Americans use a general purpose machine gun, but it's that type of machine gun. You don't get a commander with it, which is fine because there's a lot of open spaces in this vehicle, like the Striker, their version, the Trumpeter, the Trumpeter Striker I've got. And if you don't close the hatches, you'll be looking into cavernous, you know, areas unless you put bits of styrene, and even then it's not going to look brilliant. I believe you can get, apart from the stowage, I believe you can get engines for this as well. I might be wrong, but again, the price for somebody on a low income, it's a bit pretty senseless really, and especially with my building skills at the moment, why go to that? You know, it's one thing to make things yourself, but paying 30 odd quid plus postage, you know, for add-ons, it's just, I'm not knocking any of you guys that do it. You know, you've got an income, I haven't. So this is what we've got. The box art shows it. I don't know if the US Marine Corps were in Bosnia. It's almost like a Bosnia type scene from the 90s. but we'll see. I did put in Bosnia and that, and nothing came up. So whether that's like northern Iraq or whether it's just on exercise in the US or in Germany, I don't know. Again, I don't know if the Marine Corps goes over to Germany, to be honest with you. But if you know, let me know, please. I'd be grateful. So join me down at the bench, guys. Sorry the waffle, but it's a Gav video. What do you expect? I have got. I'm ordering. I've been keep promising myself. I'm finally pulling the trigger on some lights. I'll fill you in on that when I've got them. So I shall hopefully be able to do some brighter videos, and I'm hoping to go back to chucking a couple of tutorials in, maybe even build-alongs. what could possibly go wrong? So guys, join me at the bench. We'll unbox this and have a quick squeeze. Right guys, thanks for joining me at the bench. I've got the camera high up as it will go on this little it's for a mobile phone. I've said it before, it's for a mobile phone. You stick it on. If you've got mobile phones, these little stands are brilliant. They're literally about £8 or something from eBay. Unfortunately, I've got one. It's not an expensive camera, but it's a normal like video camera, and it doesn't hold it particularly well. So if it'll either move backwards and forwards or drop on the kit as we're looking at it. But hey, never mind. Right, so yeah, you don't get the. You can see now you don't get the the commander. There's the driver's hatch. I'm not sure if the wheels are posable. I'm sure I looked on a review on this online, and they said they had to snap something and move it to get the just a bit of look differently. I can't give you loads of info because it's gone out of my head already. I should have wrote all this down. I'll probably give you a bit of info on the vehicle as we start seeing it on a vlog. But it's 8-wheel drive. It drives in these four wheels either side drive it in normal drive, and then it can go to 8-wheel drive. It's a light armoured vehicle for the recon units of the US Marine Corps. I believe Australia use it, and several countries around the world also. I think they're going to be phasing it out of service in the 2030s, or frontline service anyway. At the moment, these are early versions, and I presume this is an early version. They were only designed really to stop the average for a light skin vehicle, which is rifle rounds, machine gun rounds, mortar fragments, and nothing. I don't know if they could stop something like an RPG. That they are amphibious, although the later ones and they're upgrading them at the moment to go into the last 10 or 15 years of service life, and they're adding more anti-armor stuff on, and RPGs and things like that. And I believe it may stop its wading capabilities or swimming capabilities. It's not designed to go off, say, an assault ship and swim to shore as those big one, the big tracked ones are, which again escapes me at the moment. It's designed more for fording rivers, lakes, things like that. It has I believe a crew of 2, like a commander and a driver. Whether the commander is the actual commander of the entire unit or it has a separate commander, I don't know, to be honest with you. You'll see here things like this is a wire cutter. Obviously, one of the cheapest ways to attack your enemies is to string a piece of cord or wire across a road and try and take his head off. So that's what that's there for. You'll see a lot of the later versions. They've got different jamming apparatus for jamming IEDs and things. These have got the basic telecommunications antenna on. So yeah, I believe this bit here, it might well be, I'm not 100%, but going back to my days, most command vehicles type of thing, even down to the humble Land Rover, tended to have a tent stuck on the back so you could create more space for the different command elements of your unit. So guys, let's open up the box. This is a 2007. This one was quite actually musty. I do believe the guys that I bought it off, it was a modelling company. I believe they had a load of party poppers going, doing somersaults, and somebody won a huge bet, because I believe this is one of these kits that they never thought they'd ever sell until this Muppet came along and bought it. So I've done them a huge favour there, and whoever won the bet. It's already starting to yellow up actually, the instructions, but I got all this out last night and it all seemed fairly decent. You get a clear parts in this bag here, which I think is quite a good idea. It's got an actual, obviously a lot of these vehicles, they have like a pop-up driver's screen rather than just sticking his head above a hatch. There's literally like a screen going around him. As I say, because you'll be just looking, unless you're going to blank bits off, and even then it won't look great. You can blank it off and spray it black inside, but I'm not really going to go down that route. I'll close it all up, so some of that probably won't get used. Usual cracking way that Trumpeter do things. I've got the same with my Striker. They've got a separate box to stop these flying around. I'll get all these out in a minute. It's rubber tyres, some Photoetch in there for grills and that. I mean, you can see even the bags are like off-coloured. So although this was marketed as new, and it is new, it's in a bag, I think it's been on the shelf a while. So join me in a minute, guys. I'll knock this off for a second. I'll open the bags so they don't make a load of noise, and we'll crack on from there. Right, guys, let's just have a quick look at the painting instructions. It doesn't tell you a unit at all. It just says it's a US Marine Corps LAV C2 light armoured vehicle command and control. It's in the NATO black, which is all you guys that obviously already model armoured vehicles. You know, NATO black is like a grey black. If you can put it that, it's not a jet black. And like the reddy brown and the green. It says it's got Mr. Colour used for its paint guide. To be honest with you, I've got some real colours that I use for that Starfighter, and I've got some others, and I think I can probably cover this with all that. I'm not really, you know, tied to a brand or to even the exact colour. As you know, you've got to get it right, but at the same time, by the time you've weathered it and that, you know, you're not gonna see the, you know, I don't get hung up on it has to be that colour for this vehicle. You know, as long as the green is roughly similar to what the real vehicle has, and a lot of the times, to be honest with you, I prefer working off actual photographs on the web rather than these things, because obviously it's printed and it doesn't really bear any resemblance to the colour that's going to come out of your bottle. Hey, look at me talking as if I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's your painting guide. It's the one and only. It's the decals for it. The only thing that really stands out, it's got a name called Death Star on the back. So that's your colour guide anyway. I'm pulling these out in no particular order. It's just as I've opened them. I've got to be careful. We've got one little bit here floating around in the bag, which to all the new guys like myself, try and keep your bags if possible and the sprues in them, because there is the odd bit that will always fall out. Again, look at Gav talking like he knows what he's talking about. And it would help if I actually put my readers on, because I can't see what the heck I'm talking about. Right. Where's my grubby pointer stick I always like to use? We've got pioneering tools, as you'd expect. There is a small amount of flash on it, but nothing that a little scalpel action won't take off, I should say. Looks like we've got these winch rollers here. They may be, they may be not, but they look it. It looks like it's got a bit of texture on. I think this might need, I can see some residue from the moulding process, so it'll probably, even after all these years, it'll probably need some some washing off. We've got our exhaust and the covers of the exhaust. The bit that's come off may well be an ammunition box for the MG. We've got some nice little shackles, and they look in decent nick. They're really well done. The pin is well done. There's even a hole through the pin. Now, you can't say fairer than that. If you was a bit cheeky, you could get some Oshimura stroke blue stuff and make yourself a few copies of those with a bit of epoxy. You know, you don't have to go down. My good mate Sean, the Scale Model Car channel, or Scale Model Car Guy channel, he's very handy with his resin and things. But I'd be tempted to just use a bit of Oshimura, which is a heat. It's if you don't know, it's called blue stuff, Oshimura, and you just put it in hot water, and it then conforms to the thing you're pressing into, and then you press in something like epoxy putty or whatever to make the copy. You've got to be a bit careful. I'm not endorsing making copies and then selling them on. I don't like recasting. For your own use, that's great. You know, but at the moment, the busts that you see me paint, the sculptors are getting hammered at the moment with recasters. You know, buying a figure and then recasting it and selling it 2/3 cheaper, and people buying it and enabling that to go on. But people like Sean, he's not selling stuff off. He's just doing it for his own vehicles, and obviously a lot of model makers out there. So, but no, that's that first sprue. That's B. That looks great. These small parts here, you see where my finger is? No flash on those whatsoever. And these tiny little dooblies here as well. These U-clamps, U-bolts, whatever they are. No flash on those at all. The only flash that I could see was on that axe, part of the Pioneer stowage. Hatches have got a nice texture on them. And the sink marks are on the, obviously if you were going to have the hatches open you'd have to clean them off, but as they're all down, as closed with mine, that's not going to be a problem. And obviously this rear area is obviously sticking on the back tub. So that's that one, and we'll put that back in the bag. This isn't going to be a quick video, guys. So apologies if it's not your thing. I would strongly advise you to walk on by because it could go on for another 10 minutes or 15 minutes yet. Right, we've got the drive bits and pieces. We've got shock absorbers, and there's nothing wrong with those. Again, against clear holes all the way through them. We've got our little propellers here. Very tiny amount of flash on it, but again, sanding stick will have those off in no time. Bit of mould lines around whatever these are here, but again, nothing that can't be cleaned off. Lovely moulding around this this axle on the diff. I'll take it it's a diff prop shaft there. Nothing wrong with that. Again, I can't see. Might be a bit of, I don't want to do too hard in case it's not supposed to be a piece of flash, but might be the odd bit of flash there, but nothing. Again, it's that light type of stuff that will clean off really easy. Again, 2007 kit. Not that, well, yeah, it's still, was it 13, 14 years old? I don't know. But no, really pleased with those. I knew I would be. I've said his Gav has never made a trumpeter kit, but I've got that striker in there, and that's about the same vintage, and I was dead chuffed when I opened all that up. Because, you know, for me as a modeler, I want the detail, and yeah, fair enough, I'm moaning, you know, the price of kits, But it's just that if you are on a limited income, it makes the hobby hard, you know. But you still want to get a fair amount of detail, because that's what I get the buzz of, is sticking it all together. We've got our light machine gun there. Presume it'd be an M60. The old pig. Again, we've got our wire cutters. Another hatch. Another hatch there, or the surround for a hatch. Smoke discharger, smoke grenades. The rubber covers on. As I say, there are aftermarket for this. When I priced it, as I say, for me, it doesn't make sense to. Again, I'm not having a swipe at anybody. It just don't make sense to spend 30 quid, you know, buy a £30 resin bits and pieces to add to a £19 kit. We've got our wheel hubs here. Again, I can't see any problem with those. Sink marks again are on where they should be. It's in that plastic which the striker is, which is like it's grey, but it's got a bit of brown in it by the look of it. And this is our last actual sprue before we get on to the actual top and bottom. Back door again. More hatches. It was nice to see these, we'd call them chew-am boxes in the British Army, or when I was in for signal. Well, I wasn't in the signals, but I had to do signals, if that makes sense. Tuning unit mobile. But anyway, these are the boxes that your antenna would stick up. And the military call them antenna rather than aerials. We've got a little guy here that's not got a box mounting. I believe these rods here may well be for the tent that would go on the back. I might be wrong with that, but I believe it might be. Again, more hatches. You can see a couple of lines in some of the hatches and some of the larger pieces, where maybe it was. You can tell I watch a lot of Phil Florey's videos on YouTube. You know, you get to understand some of the terminology. Well, if not the terminologies, you understand. You know, that they get them out under pressure and things like that, and it sometimes causes little marks and that. But on a military vehicle, I don't see a problem with that. By the time you've painted it up and weathered it and whatever, it's not a problem. Again, if you were to put some hatches open, you've got the inevitable sink marks, but again, they can't be really hard to take off, I wouldn't have thought. So that's our last sprue. Let's have a look at our two-piece hull. Right, let me just put it together for you roughly so we can see what we're dealing with. Here we go, nice fit. That's what we're looking at, top and bottom. So I'll put that down a bit for you so you can see. That is our command vehicle. Giving commanders a bit of extra head height. There's some really useful photographs. I found the striker, another reason I held off for the striker, there wasn't a huge amount online. Good mate, a YouTube mate, Ian from Diomede, he sent me some helpful photographs, but it's still, I wanted more before I went on with the striker, but this one I'm going to crack straight on with. There's a bit of mould release and some rough bits there. I don't know what that is, but that can get cleaned off, not a problem. Some lovely, I don't know if we can see, there's some lovely mould weld lines, I should say, weld seams that they've textured in there. I've just got to see where this joins. There's a slight, obviously, and it is very slight gap, maybe at the front here, might need some. Now there's weld seams all around, and I presume where this would join, I might be able to make that into a weld seam as well. I believe you can do it with stretch sprue or putty, whatever you choose, thing of your choice. So as you can see, we've got engine, because obviously the engine's mounted in the front. You've got engine hatches, driver's hatches. It's a shame, but there is absolutely nothing. You would see all the bits and pieces. It's a shame. And yes, you could put plastic card and blank things off, but you're still not going to be really showing any detail. But yeah, some cracking weld seams around the whole thing. Brilliant. So that's the size of our vehicle. I've lost the lid now, so I can't see the exact size, but it won't take a lot of space up. So that's that. I won't get the tyres out, but a vinyl tyre's a vinyl tyre. But really nice tread pattern on it. I'm not one of these that's particularly fussed on if it's got a maker's mark on the outside of the tyre or not. Really don't fuss me that. But it's got some nice, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but you've got the side walls have got the rippling effect on them. So again, not that I've used vinyl tyres yet, but I know a lot of people, they like to have a bit of weight on wheels and things like that, and obviously you don't normally get that with a vinyl. And I know in a diorama you can put a screw underneath and pull them down a bit, but this will just be sitting free. So that's my vinyl tyres. I'll show you the decals and the Photoetch without getting them out. These are our Photoetch. Not 100% sure, apart from obviously grills. Oh, it looks like they give you the chance to have the Photoetch wire cutter. Looks like you can have that as Photoetch if you want. And these are these stowage bins on the side. I'm not 100% sure. And some straps and things, and a couple of foot plates by the look of it. So that's that. Let's have a look. That's the yellow bit there is just some yellowing sticky tape holding the top surface of the decals on, so I'm hoping they'll be fine. Not a lot to it, as I say. We've got Death Star and different serial numbers really. So guys, that is, let me, as he scrabbles to get the lid so I can actually read it off again properly. That is the US Marine Corps LAV C2 Light Armoured Vehicle, Command and Control from Trumpeter, in its 1:35 scale. And it is the build that I'm going to be doing starting in the next few days. I did think of doing one of those build-along videos. My mate Stevie Mottram's doing one at the moment. Go and check Steve Mottram's channel out. That's Motty's Military Models. He's doing a build-along at the moment of an MREP, is it? A lot more detailed and expensive kit than this guy, but you've got to start somewhere, Gav. So yeah, I've also got why have one of these when you can have two? I've got this one came from a UK model supplier. I've got one coming from China. Yes, I know, with all the problems the world is facing at the moment, it could take a while, and they have been open enough to say it could be like about a month to 2 months. I'm not really that fussed. I bought this for £19 and a couple of £2.50 odd postage. The one coming from China is £19 and free postage. It's another LAV, but it's the platoon version with the turret and I believe is it a 30mm cannon, and I'm not sure if it's an electric chain gun in the turret or not, but yeah, I've got that version coming. They call these a Piranha, and I've got that coming as well. As I say, I enjoy this type of stuff. I love modern engineering, military engineering vehicles as well. At the moment, I just can't get any for the price. They do this with a crane on and things like that. But I like the unusual vehicles, just like that little 172 Land Vaser Schlepper I've done recently. And as I say, if I can have fun sticking these together, 19 quid. You can't go wrong really. You've just seen there's not for a new model like me who really jumped into the furnace with the T55 Mini Art build full interior. This one I should have probably started with in the first place, and you know, just work my way up. So guys, thanks for listening to me waffle for what must be at least half an hour by now. I really appreciate you stopping by and taking a look. As I say, the channel is a wide variety of stuff. Well, it's really figure painting and scale modelling, but you know, there's not. I understand there's not always things that people, you know, you might not like, say war games painting. As I say, I don't war game myself anymore, but I paint commercially for people. So I have those on the channel. I have these scale models on the channel. Like some, I try and build everything that I show you, but I'm honest enough to say I'm a new guy, and I have all the problems that a lot of new guys, unless you're particularly talented, have, you know. And like the T55 build, unfortunately had to come to a screeching halt, but you know, I'm hoping to get that on track at some stage. So you know, you've got things like this going on. You've got the busts and the large figure painting, which is my thing. You know, I love painting those type of figures. So there's bits and pieces for everybody, and I understand that, you know, obviously people only sign up to the channel for certain things, and they get disappointed when they see something they don't like. But I always say, to be blunt, I do this. I've got head problems. I do it for myself. I do the videos. I enjoy making a video and showing you what I'm working on at the time. It's my way of interacting with the world, if you want to make it that. And I've made some good mates over the you know, the last few years. And you know, I'm connected to guys in Europe and the States and Australia, and you know, it's really good. I enjoy it. So thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to stop by and check out the channel and see what I'm doing. And I will catch you all very, very soon on another video. Cheers.